Hey guys, Dirk from the Prime XBT Trading Academy here with the newest episode of That Crypto Show. And on today's show, we want to discuss whether we are maybe going to see already a new all-time high in Bitcoin in October. So stay tuned and I'm going to see you again in around about 20 seconds. Welcome back. Good to see you guys. Before we start, guys, as always, please leave us a like, subscribe to the channel if you like what you are seeing here. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Now, like I said yesterday, today we want to have a look first of all at the charts, then at the sentiment, and third of all at the newest on-chain metrics report from Glassnode. So we can put together an opinion about whether Bitcoin could potentially already this month reach a new all-time high. And you guys might remember I a couple of times mentioned the price targets the creator of the stock to flow model has for Bitcoin. And we are really not that far away anymore from his October target here at 63,000. In fact, from around about 57,000 US dollars, where we are now, to a new all-time high around about 64,000 US dollars, is just a measly 11% of move. And as we know Bitcoin, and as we can see sometimes in the candles up and down, moving 11% in one direction is something Bitcoin can sometimes accomplish within a day or maximum of 2 days. So who knows, things can sometimes move quicker than we are anticipating. Chart-wise, as I already said yesterday, we are really looking good, and it seems a little bit like the market is trying to really push through this zone of strong resistance. Remember, this is a zone where we had still coins that were bought between March and May 2021, so coins that were sitting already on at losses, that were sitting already on losses of around about 50% if they held onto them all the way down to 50,000. All the way down to 30,000 US dollar. And I expected, honestly speaking, a little bit more struggle. Right now, it really seems like whenever there is a bit of stronger sell activity, the market picks up again. And we can see this really by those wicks up here, but then a foundation is built. So it is really something that is typical. And to a certain extent, this is something we saw down here as well for a market that is trying to push again in one direction. We've moved away also from the 200 days moving average by quite a margin now. So if I look at the charts, for me, really green light at the moment. Looks like it's just a matter of time until we push out of this area of strong resistance. So that would be over 59,000 US dollars in order to do so. And then really, we are on a blank sheet again. Everything is possible from that point onwards. The sentiment, and as always, I'm using the fear and greed index for Bitcoin here, is in the area of extreme greed, 78, and this is quite high already. Extreme areas here mean that the market, or most of the market participants, are having a bullish, so if we're in the area of extreme greed, a bullish opinion about Bitcoin. If we are on the opposite end of things here, extreme fear, of course, most market participants would have a bearish opinion about where the price is heading. So, and this is so important because usually at those extreme levels, most market participants tend to be wrong. If you follow Bitcoin related topics or cryptocurrency related topics, maybe on Reddit, maybe on Twitter or other social communities, you might have noticed that already most people are biased there when it comes to the direction, expecting a new all-time high. So this is not quite a red light yet, but something at least that should make us a little bit aware. So the good thing when you look at Bitcoin, you can not just look at charts, you cannot just look at sentiment, you can also look at on-chain metrics. And I do this always by reading the report from Glassnode, the so-called week on chain, so Glassnode, an analytics company that deducts from the blockchain certain metrics to help you to decide whether we are in a bull, whether we're in the sideways markets, in a bear market, and to either support your opinion of direction or to challenge your opinion. And I highly recommend you guys reading this. If you don't want to read through the whole report yourself, I highly recommend reading our weekly email, which also includes findings from those on-chain metrics. If you don't receive that email because you have not yet opened an account, please do so. You'll find a link below this video to open an account. It's totally free and allows you already to at least receive this email with really very valuable information. A lot of effort is put into this. So I don't want to go through all the charts really on this week's report. One that really popped into my eyes is here the number of active entities. So how busy is the Bitcoin network at the moment? And the busier it is, and we saw a rise from the beginning of October by 19%, which is quite a margin. And we are now here at a level of around about 300,000 active entities. And if you compare this to the last time we were around this area, actually it's 291,000 at the moment, approaching 300,000 active entities. This was mid to end last year, mid to end 2020. And after this we saw really prices soaring. We also were on the downside and bounced off of this when we came down with the prices again. So it seems like we are crossing this upwards again, and this really is very bullish in my opinion. The more active entities we have on the network, the stronger the network becomes, the more valuable also the network becomes normally. And another thing that is not really saying something about where the price might be heading, but I think it's a very interesting metrics, is that at the moment the median transaction size is more than 1.3 Bitcoin. So that is the median transaction at the moment. And this, in my opinion, really shows, especially if you compare this where we were since 2019 in median, really shows, in my opinion, that there are more institutional investors now active on the network. And this is also, I'm going to show you this one later, by the way, also something I can see here in the total supply held by long-term holders. So typically when you're an institutional investor and you make the decision to go into Bitcoin, you're not going to use it as a trading product. You're probably going to use it either to generate alpha for your portfolio or to use it as an, for example, inflation hedge. And there's like one trend we saw which really took off since April 2021 is that we have now 13.28 million Bitcoin held by long-term holder. The previous high, by the way, was yet 12.65 million. So this goes a little bit into the direction of what you might be reading out there in terms of supply shock. So we see Bitcoin moving away from exchanges into long-term deep cold storage. Long-term means you're at least holding onto it for 1 year, probably longer. So this, in my opinion, also shows that there's institution demand. People are scooping up the coins and putting them into long-term cold storage. For example, to have an inflation hedge or have something that appreciates usually in value over time. So really interesting. Another thing here, transfer volume as percent of realized cap. This is an interesting metric, and I'm not going too much into detail now what this really means, but just look at whenever this metric turns green, usually we see the beginning of a bull run. A small one we saw already this year, so January 2021 last time this went green until May 2021, then into the red area, again turned green, this metric again. So this also indicates that maybe the best is still to come. All right, so right now we have actually, out of all those metrics I was talking about, so charts, I was talking about the sentiment, I was talking about what is going on chain at the moment. All metrics except the sentiment point into one direction, and this direction really is up, I have to say. However, since an extreme By the way, just because we're in the extremes here doesn't necessarily mean that immediately the market is going to change around. Those extreme levels can go on for weeks and even months sometimes. That's why it's important not to just rely on it, but take it as a puzzle piece in the whole puzzle. So what can we do with this really? And as you guys know, I started to build up position again in this area. I started buying again into my position that I sold before the deleveraging. We saw there at between 48 and 42,000 US dollars. I told you yesterday my stop loss currently was at 50,000. I'm going to move up my stop loss now for this position to 52,000 because I still want to be sure that the price has enough room to breathe. So should we see one of those days where we go like down by 5 or 6%, that I'm not immediately stop out of my position. But I also, of course, want to make sure that those positions here that are already nicely in profits are not going to lose me money anymore. And because this would be really, really something extremely, extremely stupid, something that's already up for myself like 25 to 30% to still lose money on that. And I know, I hear this now and then over and over again, Dirk, I don't want to use stop loss. I have a feeling every time I use the stop loss, my stop loss gets hit and then it moves into the direction of my former position again. This is something I can very, very well understand. But look at it from the perspective of what is happening when you look at 1,000 trades. Not just your last 3 or 5 or 10 trades. Look at your last 1,000 trades. And I can guarantee you that using a stop loss on the last 10,000 or 1,000 trades has really saved your account probably, because it's just a matter of time if you don't use the stop loss that something happens, a black swan happens or a white swan if you're short and Bitcoin pushes more upwards, that would otherwise crash your account. So that's why I'm really an advocate of always using a stop loss. That's it already for today. Again, guys, remember, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment. I want to know what is your personal target for Bitcoin for 2021. Are we going to see an all-time high already? Please leave us a comment. Going to see you guys again tomorrow. So have a good day, and remember always to use the stop loss. See you. Bye-bye.